Hello and welcome. My name is Roger Quayle, and you are listening to My Life in the Mosh of Ghosts. Hello and welcome back to My Life in the Mosh of Ghosts. Thank you for joining me. My name is Roger Quayle. Today is Gig 21, and to celebrate coming of age, I'm going to talk about a band you might have actually heard of. Julian Cope and the Teardrop Explodes, live at Sheffield University on Wednesday the 7th of November 1979. So here we go. Sign on at the Dole office on West Street. Peruse the cards at the job centre and the situations vacant column in the Star. Post written applications for clerical positions at steelworks, libraries, printers, hospitals and newspapers. If summoned for interview, polish my shoes, press my horrific bottle green best suit and bravely parade my solitary A-level in English literature in front of an interchangeable panel of personnel officers and middle managers. 3 days later.
Thank you for your interest. Unfortunately, your application has been unsuccessful on this occasion.
Cue up my favourite Roxy music B-side, Your Application's Failed, and repeat the process. 5 months since I left school, and 6 since I joined Clock DVA. In half a year, the band has managed to play 4 gigs, or events as we prefer to call them. But we practice a lot, almost as much as we theorise. A rehearsal space on the Wicker has just been vacated in favour of a redundant Little Mester's workshop, a Fagan's den high above the rooftops behind the Limit Club on West Street. Simon, the keyboard player, has left, and now we have an exotic bearded reedsman named Charlie, bringing with him a dazzling array of saxophones in varying shapes and sounds. No job, no gigs, no matter. Plenty of time for me to cultivate my self-image as a serious young artist. I'm devouring the printed word. The Book of Sand by Jorge Luis Borges. Mother Courage by Brecht. The Art of Noises by Luigi Russolo. And Stand on Zanzibar by John Brunner. Science fiction set in the unthinkably distant 2015. In Opium by Jean Cocteau, there is a quote that I have highlighted.
We only serve as a model for the portrait of our fame.
But it's starting to feel like I've been sitting here forever. I'm stiff in all the wrong places, and this plinth is growing colder by the day. Thankfully, there are new records to revel in. Fad Gadget, The Undertones, Spiz Energy, Neil Young's Rust Never Sleeps, a parting gift from Oxford-bound Sheena Gates, Echo and the Bunnymen, and the Teardrop Explodes. So when I see a flyer for a Zoo Records night at the university's Now Society, or NOWSOC for short, featuring both Liverpool bands, I'm determined to go, even if it means a solo trip. Going out on my own is quite a big deal. I absolutely dread arriving at the pub and finding I'm the first there. I'd rather go and walk around the block for 10 minutes, in the hope that one of my mates will be in the bar by the time I swing back around. But tonight should be okay. Bar 2, in the Students' Union, is a regular haunt. Knackered leather banquet seating, low ceiling, and the full 7-minute version of Riders on the Storm on the jukebox. 10 pence well spent. One of DVA's rare live sorties was here back in August. And I saw a new Sheffield band called Salon Graph here just last month. Bar 2 is jammed. This is what a couple of well-received independent 45s, features in Melody Maker and Sounds, and the patronage of Radio 1's John Peel will garner on a cold Wednesday night in November. On arrival, I'm disappointed to learn that Echo and the Bunnymen have cancelled, and that their slot will be filled by lugubrious locals Disease. I've witnessed their earnest post-punk clang in a tiny pub called The Saddle back in July. So instead, I opt to shuffle around the room during their set, casually sipping my lager and black, while quietly hoping that someone will recognise me as the drummer with Clock DVA. I squeeze into a spot 5 yards from the stage, just as the Teardrop Explodes emerge. Drums rattle and amps flicker and buzz into life as the foursome get ready. They kick off with a song called Second Head, all choppy guitar and Zedkar's Nina Nina organ. The band and the audience look the same, dressed down to the fives in our rummage sale finery and grandparents' hand-me-downs. Gulag chic. But the band just shades it in the sartorial stakes, as if they have access to more exotic shops. A Sue Ryder in Soho maybe, or the Oxfam in Cairo. Perhaps I've been hanging out with local bands for too long, but it's immediately clear that the Teardrop Explodes are operating on a higher echelon of musicianship and songwriting. They're the tightest band I've seen since Joe Jackson back in March. Their sound is Talking Heads via Birkenhead, a cloudy, funky neuroticism you can dance to. I've recently borrowed and taped, naturally, the first 2 Talking Heads albums from fanzine writer and friend of DVA Martin Fry. So the Teardrop Explodes' distinctly hazy Lancastrian take on David Byrne's preppy post-punk resonates loudly with me. The hypnotic psychedelia of their debut single, Sleeping Gas, all rainbow swirls down a Toxteth plug hole, is substituted tonight in favour of something more direct and urgent. Frontman and bass player Julian Cope is united in a fervent groove with drummer Gary Dwyer. This gives way to the jaunty up-tempo bounce of Brave Boys Keep Their Promises. Heads are nodding, feet are shuffling, and the room is warming up. Sorry that Echo and the Bunnymen aren't here tonight. Julian Cope, who looks like Daily Mirror comic strip hero Garth, sagging off from art school, is speaking to us. They're auditioning a new drummer, but here's one of their songs. Mick Finkler's churning guitar jangle launches into Read It In Books, the killer B-side to Echo and the Bunnymen's debut single, The Pictures on My Wall. It's impossible not to be drawn to Julian Cope, with his graven good looks and honeyed croon, as watchable as The Great Escape on Boxing Day. He sings like a seraph under a golden bedhead of string and straw. The band thunder through the M62 meets Studio 45 disco beat of Went Crazy, and the unhinged gate of Ha Ha, I'm Drowning, before the dam is burst by the pulverising torrent of sound that is Bouncing Babies, the band's latest single. For all my po-faced posturing and avant-garde ambitions, some nights it's just enough to be reminded why you like rock and roll music in the first place. Tonight, the charismatic Julian Cope and the Teardrop Explodes, with their crafted, catchy songs that effortlessly pontoon rock to punk to pop, do just that. Back in love with the restorative powers of rock music, I go out the next day and buy Darkness on the Edge of Town. You have been listening to My Life in the Mosh of Ghosts with your host, Roger Quayle. Thank you to Kilian for the guest voice, to Simon for the intro and outro music, and to Rionagh for the artwork. Join me next time for another episode from My Life in the Mosh of Ghosts. This is Roger Quayle saying thanks a lot and see you again. Bye bye.